Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Ellen Barrett, and we have a great show ahead for you today. And we're starting off this episode today talking about health and fitness, which is always just a great topic, and you can always learn more. It's always something, you can learn and grow with. And I'm joined by Lee and Jordan of Anytime Fitness, and it's Anytime Fitness of Southern Wisconsin. Thank you for being here, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
So first, let's just start off. Tell me a little bit about Anytime Fitness.
Well, as you may guess by the name, we're open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The great thing about Anytime Fitness is that we're staffed 50 hours a week. Each of our clubs features cardio equipment, strength training, functional space, as well as a variety of different training options.
Wow, that is awesome. And I actually go to an Anytime Fitness here in Fitchburg.
Oh, excellent.
But I think that is so cool that there's, people there all the time, and everybody is so friendly and so kind. And, I have a question maybe about a piece of equipment or what to do. And also just having that security of, I know too, usually there's different things you can wear, right? If you're there overnight maybe or at odd hours. Or is there actually a physical person there too?
You actually get a key fob for 24-hour access, so when we're not there, you can access the door right from your key fob.
And I think they gave me too, you get like a little pendant or something if for some reason, you would need help or you feel unsafe. So you really, don't have to worry if you are there later in the day.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Definitely.
Perfect. So what sets you guys apart? And I know you kind of touched on some different things, and obviously the fact that you're open all the time.
We actually like to think that's our focus on the members' experience, making sure that everybody who comes in there gets what they came for. So it's really about results. So we're going to meet with you when you come in, figure out exactly, what your goals are, where you want to go, and get you set up with personal training, team training, whatever you might need.
And I can kind of speak to that too, just because when I joined, I sat down with one of the personal trainers and we had talked about my goals, and it was just great to have, I think, that expertise, because a lot of people joining a gym, maybe they feel kind of nervous or they feel like, they don't know what they're doing, and that's what I felt like, and it was such a warm and welcoming experience, and I think that is so important. So tell me a little bit more, and I know I kind of touched on this too, about the personal training programs.
So I want to talk about team training. Think of it like live indoor boot camp.
Okay.
So you come in, you have an instructor, there's a number of people, you get your cardio in, burn your calories for the week kind of thing. It's unlimited when you join the program, and you get to use all of our locations to use it.
That is so cool. And I know for me, that motivates me so much more when I'm a part of a group, and that is so important, I think, for some people. And you also offer personal training, though, too, if somebody maybe wants to do one-on-one.
Yep.
That's part of it too.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So I know you kind of touched on this too, because this is what you guys are all about, but what's the overall feel or experience in an Anytime Fitness, and what can somebody expect?
Yeah. Not only is the club fun and energetic, but we really pride ourselves on knowing, your name when you walk through the door. Not only your name, but your story too.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good club culture that you're going to feel right away. We're very training centric. We want you in and using the club, like Lee mentioned. We don't want you falling through the cracks, so it's really important to us that you see the results that you're looking for.
Very cool. And you guys have so many different locations too, correct?
We do. We have 3,000 locations worldwide and 30 right here in southern Wisconsin.
30 right here in just southern Wisconsin.
Yeah, just right here.
That is so cool. And that's so cool, though, too, that you can maintain, that closeness and, where people recognize you when you walk in the door. But then you also have the option, maybe you're traveling for work, visiting family, and you want to stop in at any time somewhere else. You do have that option.
Exactly.
That is so cool. And so what are some of the types of memberships and promotions you guys have going on right now?
Yeah, the great thing about Anytime Fitness is that we really customize all of our memberships, so we can really accommodate any sort of budget. We have a great promotion going on where you can actually get the summer for free. So,
that's awesome. Cool. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so basically, based on, a usage program that we have, as long as you're using the club, you can earn up to 3 months for free on your membership.
Wow, that is so special. And especially for summer, I mean, everybody, is more motivated to get in shape, spending more time outdoors and things like that. So it's really a great time to hit the gym. And I know you touched on this too, but what are some of the different equipment and different classes and stuff you guys have at your different locations?
Sure. So, we have everything from your basic strength training, weight room, machines, equipment like that, cardio machines. We also have a lot of functional training stuff now. So that's going to be like your TRX straps or kettlebells. So we're teaching people more and more these days to kind of like use their body weight and be a little bit more functional too.
That is so cool. And I know when I had stopped in, I had talked to a trainer, and just the knowledge that they brought, different ways to use machines, or different, whether it be, kettlebells, or using different bars or weights in different ways that I had never thought of, which I think is just so cool when you do have that expert. But then maybe if you are a little bit more experienced and you want to try it out for yourself, you have that option.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. This is Lee and Jordan of Anytime Fitness in Southern Wisconsin. Talk of the Town will be right back right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town, and I'm especially excited about my next guest because it is political season, and if you've watched the news at all, that's been the top headlines now for a few months, and it just keeps growing stronger every day. So thank you so much for being here, Lindsay. This is
pleasure.
Lindsay of the Dane County Voter ID Coalition. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So first, let's start off with, for people who may not be familiar with your organization,
Sure.
what is the Dane County Voter ID Coalition, and what is Vote Riders?
Okay, so the Dane County Voter ID Coalition is a coalition of groups led by the Dane County NAACP and the Dane County League of Women Voters, and with significant leadership from our member group Vote Riders. Now, we are dedicated to ensuring that every eligible voter has what they need to vote and has a voter ID and understands the voter ID laws. We have many various kinds of groups in our coalition. We have service clubs such as the Rotary Club of Madison, Westtown, Middleton, the YWCA, the Urban League, and many more.
Wow, very cool. So pretty extensive group of people.
It is.
A bunch of different areas as well.
Yes, and we're absolutely nonpartisan. Like I said, our mission is to ensure
That's
that
cool.
everyone has what they need in order to vote, that they understand the resources that are available to them, and they are completely prepared to vote in the elections.
Wonderful. And that's so important because, that's really the first step is, you have to be prepared and know what to do to be able to, exercise that right. So that is so important. And so next question, starting off with, what is Wisconsin's voter ID requirement for people who may not be familiar?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, you need the main types of acceptable IDs for voting are Wisconsin-issued DOT driver license or ID card, a military ID, or a U.S. passport are all acceptable IDs for voting, as long as they are either unexpired or expired after November 4th, 2014. There are several other kinds of IDs that are acceptable for voting too, and you can find the complete list on our website, voteridwisconsin.org or voteriders.org. You can also check with your local clerk's office. Now, challenge comes with student IDs.
Sure.
Only student IDs that expire within 2 years of issuance are acceptable for voting. So, for example, a UW student ID, a WIS card, is not valid for voting. UW students can get a special secondary ID just for voting at the WIS card office at Union South, but they shouldn't count on their main student ID to get them to vote.
Sure.
Also, out-of-state licenses and ID cards are not acceptable for voting. However, your ID does not need to have your current address.
Okay, very cool. And the voter ID law is fairly new, correct?
It is. It's just been enforced in the elections this year. So there's actually a pretty significant amount of misunderstanding and misconception around the ID law, and we're still hearing a lot of issues at the polls in the recent elections with people not understanding the law and not having proper identification. Now, you can still cast a provisional ballot if you go to the polls without an acceptable ID. You'll just need to provide proof of having acceptable ID by the 5 p.m. the following Friday.
That's so nice, especially if maybe you're not familiar or this is maybe the first time, obviously, for most people, voting with the new law so that you can have kind of that time slot to correct that and bring that so your vote can be counted. That's awesome.
Right, absolutely.
So what are some of the resources available for someone who needs help securing a voter ID?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So they can check our website, voteridwisconsin.org or voteriders.org for our resources. There is also a voter ID hotline that is 608-729-7720. I'm going to repeat that again.
Perfect.
608-729-7720. Now, anyone who needs help getting to the DMV for their ID can call that number. Anyone who would like support throughout the process of securing their ID, including getting help figuring out what the right documents are to bring to the DMV and getting help working with the DMV officials, can call that number and one of our volunteers will help them. Also, thanks to the Dane County Clerk's Office, free rides are available to the DMV to get your voter
That
ID,
is awesome.
Isn't it? So if you need that ride, just call that number, 608-729-7720, and we'll be able to arrange that ride for you.
Wonderful. And that is so important because, you know, maybe that is a barrier for someone who maybe wants to vote, but they don't have that resource. So that is so cool.
Yeah.
And so now the big question, when is the next election for people who may not be familiar?
Yeah, so the next election, there's actually a partisan primary election on Tuesday, August 9th. Lots of people seem to be unaware of that. They just know about the November election.
Sure.
And in case you're unaware of that one is Tuesday, November 8th.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the information, Lindsay. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, thank you.
Thank you so much. So this is Lindsay Lemmer with the Dane County Voter ID Coalition. Thank you so much for being here, and Talk of the Town will be back right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. We are now talking about an event coming up in the community, which is always so much fun to support your local community and, you know, have something to do as well. And I'm joined now by Tammy, and she is with the Greene County Ag Chest. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we're talking about the Greene County Dairy Days coming up here.
That is right.
Sure. So first, maybe for people who are not familiar, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, Dairy Days is hosted every year in Greene County. They do it on a rotational basis, and this year Belleville gets to host, and it's been a lot of fun putting it together.
Very cool. So what really goes into the Dairy Days for someone who may not be familiar at all?
It is a celebration of agriculture and its participants. So if you eat, you participate. If you farm, you participate. Everyone's
right.
invited and welcome to come and share.
And really being Wisconsinites, you know, we all know someone or we're a consumer of different farming products. So it's something that everyone can be a part of. And who doesn't love great food? And, you know, having something to do and bring the family to on the weekend as well. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
So I know you mentioned where the event was held. Can you explain that a little bit more? Because I know you said that it rotates, right?
Right.
Okay.
Our group decided to hold this in a different community each year so that everybody's...
That's so special.
It is. It's really unique, I think, as far as these kind of celebrations go. The
Sure. In Belleville this year, correct?
This year it's Belleville. It's always one of the Greene County. Next year, I believe, is Argyle. So
and what a great way to bring, you know, different people and tourism to each individual town, you know, in the county.
Hopefully.
That's just incredible. That's awesome. So what are some of the events taking place that people can come join?
There is a cattle show for 4-H participants, and that's held on the 18th of June at our fairgrounds in Monroe.
Wonderful.
And on the 25th of June is our day to shine. We have a fun run at 8 that morning, moo tails at 9:30, a brunch at 10.
Cocktails?
Punch.
Punch. I love it.
Very
Moo
good
tails.
stuff. Good stuff.
What a cute name.
It is.
Sorry, continue.
Oh, no problem. The brunch is at 10.
Sure.
We have a parade down Main Street at 1.
Love it.
It is. It's cute. And then our crowning of our county queen and princess take place right after that. And at 3, we have the Briar Pickers playing live music for us. So
wonderful.
It's quite a full day.
So many different things going on and a little bit of something for everybody, whether you be interested in maybe, you know, watching the different shows with the 4-H kids, or maybe you want to take the family to the parade. Lots of different options as well.
Correct. And then there will be activities on the square in between that to keep people busy and
what are some of those activities going on?
Our FFA is doing a pedal tractor obstacle course.
Oh my gosh.
Face painting, you know, lots of little things.
Yeah, that's so much fun. And again, you know, a little bit of something for everybody to keep the whole family entertained throughout the day. Wonderful. And so who brings this event together?
The Greene County Ag Chest is a group that was formed back in the late 50s in Greene County to help promote agriculture. And they support a lot of youth activities. They do a lot of scholarships and grants for things like FFA contests and things. When short notice, the kids need to raise funds fast, and they come in, make their case, and walk out with a check. So it's really a wonderful organization supporting a lot of youth in the area.
That is so wonderful to be a part of the community and just support the youth as well. So that is fantastic. And who is invited to participate in the Greene County Dairy Days?
Anyone that wants to.
Wonderful.
I
I love it.
We have everyone.
Sure, that's great. And that's kind of obvious too with all the different events. And maybe you just want to come and check out the food, walk around and take a peek. It's great for that too.
It is.
And so
it
who
is.
are the funds for the Greene County Dairy Days raised for?
A lot of them go to local FFA and 4-H. You know, specifically funds from that day
Sure.
get divided between the groups that actually show up and help. And again, locally, countywide, I one night witnessed a young man there for 2 different chapter events and a check in hand for each one.
And that is so cool.
It's just so nice to know that they have something.
Sure.
And people, you know, a lot of long-time volunteers involved. So
Wonderful. And those groups are so important to, I mean, just our education systems here in Wisconsin. You know, Wisconsin being the dairy state that it is, it's a really important part
Absolutely.
of our economy and what makes us Wisconsin.
Yep.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. This is Tammy Waller of Greene County Ag Chest. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And be sure to check out the Greene County Dairy Days coming up in June. Talk of the Town will be back right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm joined now by our news partner, Eric Hewitt of the Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Monona. Thank you so much for being here, Eric.
Thanks for having me back.
Great to have you here today, and it's summertime. We've had warm days, we've had cooler days, we've had some wind, some rain, some sunshine, so
Yes.
everything under the sun, literally.
Typical Wisconsin, right?
Absolutely, but summertime always brings, you know, different questions for you as our expert, and so I wanted to start off with, what are some common summer ailments that people should be aware of?
Sure. I think obviously the first thing that people think of, appropriately, I think, is sun exposure.
Right.
And sunburns and things like that and how to prevent them. But also what's hot in the news right now are insects, you know, and insect bites. Over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of ticks in Wisconsin, also mosquitoes spreading disease, and specifically this year with the Zika virus and things
Right.
like that. So. And then also you get things growing and things like that, and so you have things like poison ivy and poison oak and other, you know, kind of skin irritations that can commonly occur in the summer months.
So many different things to be aware of. Sometimes it kind of makes you feel hopeless, but that's why we have our experts like you to kind of guide us in the right direction, and you can be safe in different ways.
Absolutely.
And I know you mentioned sunburn. And so what are the key elements of picking the right sunscreen and applying it properly? Because I think a lot of people maybe think they know, but they don't know.
Right. So, I mean, first off, you know, you're going to want something that has a decent SPF coverage. You know, the 5s, the tanning oils, you know, obviously those are probably not going to be doing a whole lot.
Right.
But it's really best to apply before you get in to the sun, before you're exposed to it. And then the biggest thing is just reapplying. You know, I think a lot of times people think, I got a really high SPF sunscreen that I just put on, I should be good for most of the day then. No matter what SPF sunscreen you're putting on, it's really best to continue to reapply. So,
Sure.
you know, making sure you have a decent SPF and make sure you're reapplying are really the biggest things.
Right. And I'm so guilty of that too, as many people are. And I'm sure people kind of take for granted that it's important really to just follow the directions on the
Absolutely.
bottle. And, you know, use that kind of as a guide too.
Yep.
And so as a pharmacist, and you're the pharmacist and the owner as well, are there certain medications that cause people to be more sensitive to the sun?
Absolutely, and that, we always have conversations with our patients about that. I won't go in through, you know, a long list of
Yeah.
what that is, but I encourage people to talk to their pharmacist about that. Because it is something that those people are going to definitely have to be more diligent about covering themselves up. And sometimes sunscreen for those people isn't enough.
Wow.
They have to put on hats and wear longer sleeves and that kind of thing because it creates such a sensitivity to sunlight that those are better precautions than just sunscreen alone.
Sure. Are there any, I guess, general different medications that people should be aware of that may cause that?
Yeah, there's definitely some blood pressure medications
Okay.
that are out there, some anticonvulsants that people use for seizures, or nowadays a lot of them are used for nerve pain or
Sure.
some other different ailments and things like that. So it's really best to have a conversation with your pharmacist about that if you're at all concerned about that.
And most of the time, that'll be listed too on the label of your medication as well, right? So
Yep.
take that very seriously.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And so are there other skin reactions that are more common this time of year? I know you had mentioned poison ivy and different plants like that.
And that's a big one, you know,
Sure.
that people, and we've already seen it, you know, come through our doors as well. So those are big things because those things don't really grow, and we're not outside doing yard work, obviously, in the
Right.
winter months. So those are big things. Also, people can have kind of heat-related skin reactions and things like that. So those are definitely, you know, more common in the summer months compared to, you know, the colder months that we experience.
Sure. Now, how about ticks and other insects? And I know ticks are just personally one of my biggest fears, and I feel like you can't
A lot of
avoid
people.
them here in Wisconsin. So I guess how about those? What can you do?
Yeah. So you can, you know, try and, you know, for insects and things, obviously they have the bug sprays
Sure.
out there. There are even some natural options if people prefer not to have some of the chemicals on their skin, which we understand. But the biggest thing with ticks is you need to check if you've been out in any grassy areas, not even full woods, or, you know, maybe just even out at a park. You need to, you know, make sure that you're checking your loved ones, yourself, you know, for ticks, because it's not just having a tick on you that can be gross. It actually can spread, you know, more serious diseases as well. So it's something you have to be kind of more diligent about.
And that can really turn into something much more serious if it goes unnoticed. So that
Absolutely.
really is important.
Yep.
So where can people find, you know, more information about any of these different topics?
I always, you know, have people use the pharmacist as a resource. I mean, that's really what we went to school for.
Yeah.
At the medicine shop, that's what we prefer to do. We love going out on the floor to, you know, explain things to people and really be their, you know, their resource for those types of things.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Eric. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Always a wonderful resource, so thank you so much. Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Monona. Thank you for watching Talk of the Town today, only on Channel 57.